Welcome to Can4 Video News. I'm your host, Jaylene LaRose. And as you can see, we're on location for Can4 Video News. The folks at Hinds Creek Division here in Northern Alberta are hosting us for this edition. Let's open the show with a look at the Hinds Creek operation and some of the people who work here.
Settlers arrived in this northwestern Alberta village in the mid-1800s and named the area after the nearby creek of Hinds. Hinds Creek is a 1.5-hour drive north of our Grand Prairie operation. Can4's Hinds Creek operation employs approximately 100 people in addition to 50 Woodlands contract employees. The operation produces 86 million board feet of lumber a year, which is sold in Canada, the United States, as well as overseas in Japan and the United Kingdom. The Hinds Creek Mill has just completed a $14.4 million upgrade. Included in this major upgrade was a new canter, improvements to the bucking and debarking machinery, and new optimized edger line as well as a 22-bin sorter. This new equipment will enable Hinds Creek to increase both lumber recovery and chip yield. The operation will also be lending a hand to nearby Grand Prairie. With Hinds Creek's conversion to a one-line operation, all logs larger than 34 centimeters in diameter will now be sent to Grand Prairie. Employees were closely involved throughout the installations and upgrade. This enabled the people to learn about their new equipment and proper operating skills they needed after startup. This highly empowered and well-trained team hit the ground running at start time, making this upgrade a huge success. Hinds Creek employees have more than just the upgrade to be proud of. The mill had achieved 900 days lost time accident-free at the end of this modernization project, a significant accomplishment.
Can4 has been in the business news a lot recently, with the company's offer to acquire the shares of Slocan Forest Products. However, the company fell short of the minimum 51% of Slocan shares. Can4 Chairman and CEO Peter Bentley said although the company was disappointed not to have succeeded, Can4 remains a strong company with sufficient timber base to operate its facilities at full capacity while pursuing other opportunities for growth. The financial results are in, and 1994 proved to be a very good year for Can4, with the company reporting record sales and near record income. Sales for the year were just over $1.4 billion, the highest in the company's 56-year history.
The company reported income of $124.5 million, a substantial increase from 1993 income of $41.3 million. Included in income for 1994 is approximately $80 million, or $48 million after tax, representing a refund of the countervailing duty on softwood exports to the United States. Sales increases for the year are the result of increased lumber and pulp prices. A low Canadian dollar and increased pulp volume were also factors. Just a week after the release of the financial results, the company announced two major projects that will add to Can4's operations in Prince George. The company has submitted an application for the permits to build and operate a wood cogeneration facility at the Intercontinental Pulp Mill in Prince George. The $80 million cogen plant will be capable of generating 37 megawatts, or enough power to meet 58% of the requirements of Prince George pulp and paper mills. The plant will burn bark and other wood residue to generate the power. Can4 has also submitted an application with Sinclair Enterprises to build and operate a medium-density fiberboard plant in Prince George. The plant will use sawdust and wood shavings to produce medium-density fiberboard. The facility will be built at a cost of between $120 and $130 million. We'll have a full report on these new projects in the next edition of Can4 Video News. In spite of higher interest rates, housing starts in the U.S. increased 13% in 1994. The U.S. is the largest market for Can4's lumber.
It's been a busy and successful year here at Hinds Creek. Besides a recent rebuild, the operation celebrated 2 years accident-free in July of last year. It also recently won the President's Safety Award for safety in the under 500,000 hours category. The Intercontinental Mill won the President's Safety Award in the over 500,000 hours category. In fact, Intercontinental was the safest pulp and paper mill in BC forest industry in 1994.
Can4 President Errol Nielsen was on hand to personally present the awards to Hinds Creek employees. both praised the high level of employee involvement at Hinds Creek, particularly in safety and in the mill modernization. In making the announcement earlier in January, he noted that it was the committee's closest decision in years. Operations such as West Coast Cellufiber, Grand Prairie, and Meridian, which were all lost time accident-free in 1994, deserve special mention, he said. This marks the 6th time in the last 8 years that either Intercon or Prince George Pulp and Paper have won the President's Safety Award. This year, the President's Safety Committee included a bargaining unit member for the first time. This proved to be very successful, with Dave Pierce from Fort St. John making an outstanding contribution to the committee. As Intercon had the highest subjective score by the committee between the two winning divisions, the hourly person on the 1995 President's Safety Committee will come from Intercon. Intercontinental, Prince George Pulp and Paper, and Howe Sound Pulp and Paper were the top 3 pulp and paper operations in safety in BC in 1994.
Grand Prairie is playing host in February and March to thousands of athletes, coaches, and supporters, as the Northern Alberta City is the location for the Canada Winter Games. Canfor's Grand Prairie Division has been involved with the Games from the start, through financial support of the Games and through volunteer efforts of our employees.
The festivities included a visit by Canada Games mascots Aurora and Boreal to the Canfor office in Grand Prairie.
Right now, I've been told there's 3,000 volunteers working already. There's quite a bit more required, so it's not small. It's a national event that's here. It's athletes from all provinces, all territories. It's something that's only happens once in a while, so get out and enjoy it.
As Games President Tom Thompson tells us, the Games involve commitment, financial, and in other ways from the companies that call Grand Prairie home.
These games, as an example, had a commitment to raise $3.35 million in cold hard cash and roughly about $2.5 million in gift and service in kind. We've made it. We've hit those targets. We're done. But that would not be possible without the contributions yesterday, today, and right up until games time of companies like Canfor.
According to Canada Games officials, athletes will consume 6.7 tons of pasta and 13,200 liters of milk during the 2 weeks of the Games in Grand Prairie.
Fallers from Inglewood Logging Division recently visited Vancouver for a tour of Eburn Sawmills and West Coast Cellufiber. At Eburn, the Fallers met with mill employees to talk about a new cutting program for the Japanese market. Eburn's Dave Petrina tells us all about it.
The idea of getting the loggers down from Inglewood down to Eburn originated about 4 months ago when we had just come back from a trip to Japan, recognized an opportunity in the Japanese market to target a niche market for a 10-foot product there. And we did some trials on it in the mill there and realized that we needed some help on the way our logs were coming in to make the whole thing fit together. Decided the best way, after talking with the guys up in Inglewood, the best way would be to bring the loggers down to the mill and let them see what we're doing.
Well, this is the first time I've been down here, so I just got to see how the plant, where the logs come in and how they come out. And so I've seen it right from the scratch. And for them to get into the profit, it's supposed to, that's why we're down here today, to learn how to, maybe our bucking can help for the market price. Well, there's just, they've added a few new log specs and to hit the Japanese market, so if we come across where we can make those specs meet, then we'll attempt to buck at those measurements.
The railway and engineering groups at the Inglewood Logging Division have been very busy lately. One of the major trestles on the logging railway at Inglewood was damaged in a slide, resulting in some big repairs. The railway is used to move logs to the dryland sort at Beaver Cove.
In this video shot by Inglewood's Mike Gaudette, we can see 2 towers supporting the bridge were taken out by the slide. This left 125 feet of track unsupported, dangling in the air. This track put a great deal of tension on the rest of the bridge structure. The hanging section had to be removed for repairs to go ahead, but it had to be removed safely without putting anyone at risk. This involves setting explosives at 5 points along the section. The charges were set to go off instantaneously, so the section would go down as safely as possible. Once the section was removed, crews from the bridge contractor SureSpan Construction were quickly to put in new towers and rebuild the track. The result? Within 2 weeks of the start of construction, the bridge was back operating and the trains were back transporting logs to Beaver Cove.
Canfor, with its sawmills and pulp and paper manufacturing facilities in and around Prince George, has a major presence in the city and is closely involved in the community. The company donated $500,000 to the new University of Northern BC last year. In recognition of Canfor's contributions to the community and the university, UNBC recently opened the Canfor Conference Center.
At a dedication ceremony in late February, the largest lecture theater on the university's campus was officially named the Canfor Theater. Canfor Chairman and CEO Peter Bentley was on hand at the event, as was University President Jeffrey Weller and Winifred Kessler, Chair of the Forestry Program at the university. In conjunction with the ceremony, Canfor employees staffed a display on campus with information on forestry careers and resource management practices. With the company's contribution of $500,000 and the government matching that amount, the North to the Future campaign received a total donation of $1 million. The Canfor Theater is the heart of the Conference and Fitness Center and holds about 350 people. The first public event in the theater was a concert sponsored by the university and the Prince George Native Friendship Center to raise money for construction of a youth at-risk safety house. The forest industry provided 42% of all employment, a total of 21,400 jobs in the Prince George timber supply area in 1993, according to a Price Waterhouse study.
In the last edition of Canfor Video News, we had a story on the Industrial Education Advancement Program at the Fort St. John and Taylor divisions. Due to an oversight, we did not list all of the groups that are making this very important program happen. They are the Canfor Fort St. John and Taylor Education Committee, Northern Lights College, CEP Local 400, IWA Local 1-424, and the Fort St. John Literacy Society. That wraps things up for this edition of Canfor Video News. If you have a story idea or would like to comment on the stories you saw in this edition, please call or fax us. Also, if you have a video of an event happening at your division, like the video Mike Gaudette sent in from Inglewood, send it to us. If we use it, we will send you a Canfor Video News sweatshirt. On behalf of the news team, we would like to thank the folks at the Hines Creek operation for their down-home Alberta hospitality. Until next time, I'm Jaylene LaRose. See you in the next edition of Canfor Video News.
Hi, I'm Danny Nicolishin and I work as graveyard cleanup at Hines Creek Division. It's been a real pleasure having Canfor Video News visit our operation. And remember, if you have any story ideas, let Canfor Video News know about them. Watch for the next edition of Canfor Video News in May.